Hey, Bayek, it's me, and in today's video, we're going to look at this. This is Fright from 1971, and this is a film that Tony sent to me, and these have been great films that he's sent, and all fit into that wonderful era of the early 70s, and these films are so, well, I think, really good films to watch and see in the context of um, British filmmaking. They're incredible, really are. Anyhow, thanks again, Tony. This is 87 minutes long. On Rotten Tomatoes, 40%. I suppose I could expect that, as we've talked about and discussed before about the reaction of critics to these films. But this film, I think, is like the others. It has a certain style, and it proves that when you get together a great script, fantastic actors, then you've got the potential to produce something really, really good, and this is a good example of that. This is written by Tudor Gates. Tudor Gates is an interesting script writer. Barbarella, 1968, which I absolutely love. And that is kind of seen as a very much a weird 60s kind of film. He wrote that. He also wrote The Vampire Lover, 1970. So here we are in Hammer territory. Lust for a Vampire, 1971, and The Twins of Evil, 1971. Wow. Fantastic. That kind of pedigree. Now, it's directed by Peter Collinson. Peter Collinson is a name now that keeps coming up in our reviews. And he's really known, of course, for The Italian Job. And that was his crowning glory. Seen in many ways by people because I suppose it's because it's become such an iconic film. I say it's very sad that his career, he died really young. Well, I think it was 44 he died, and his potential of his career was still, who knows what he could have done, and particularly Susan George, she talked very fondly about him in an interview on this disc. So I think this film just shows his wonderful way of working with the actors and producing such a wonderful film. And that is quite clear on this. He also did the other Hammer film, Straight On Till Morning, from 1972, a film that is still to get into my collection, and it will do very soon, hopefully. And then that will come under review. I can't wait to actually do that, so I'm really looking forward to that. This was shot at Shepperton Studios. There's very little location. Some people have argued, in fact, that it's very much like a stage kind of production, a stage play. I think because of the intensity, certainly of some of the scenes that we see inside the house, um, I would argue, I think it's just that the quality of the script and the filmmaking together have brought that out with the actors performing so well, and that is the important part about this film, the atmosphere and the fear that is created, and to keep the viewer really on edge. I mean, some people I've heard mentioned as well that this stage you feel as almost a reflection of like the ITV series Thriller, which was popular in the 1970s, and that it's like an extended version of an hour-long episode. You could argue that, I suppose, but I think this just stands as a film. Definitely, we shouldn't get put off or sidetracked by thinking. No, not that we should look down on TV, and certainly there's a snobbery about that as well in terms of acting profession. But a lot of good quality actors will, if the script's good, they worked well in TV, and certainly in the Thriller series they were. So that's not a bad thing. So let me just look at the cast for you. The real star, of course, is Susan George. Susan George, she plays Amanda. Susan George was in Up the Junction, 1968, which was directed by Peter Collinson. So he knew of her, he liked her, and he invited her specifically for this film as well. And this film is also, I think, important because of the next film that she did, which of course was the controversial Straw Dogs of 1971. Straw Dogs, she talks about that in the interview. It almost was like a preparation for Straw Dogs, the intensity, because both films are very intense, and you have that same kind of feel, definitely, and that is very much here. The fear, it's called Fright, isn't it? But yeah, but you get that, and Straw Dogs, of course, epitomise that, and that is such a classic film, which I have reviewed quite a long time ago. If you looked on my playlist, you would find a review. I think I did it about 7 months ago, and that film I think is a great film. Yeah, Straw Dogs. Yeah. Anyhow, she then sort of developed. She did get into sort of a Hollywood roles as well. She was in Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry, which is from 1974. Yeah. And that is an American sort of crime road movie, and starred Peter Fonda. Peter Fonda, I always think of Easy Rider. So she also, Tomorrow Never Comes from 1978. She worked again with Peter Collinson. She talks very fondly. They had a friendship as well, which is really good. And I think, he really did use her well. And she shows how good an actress she actually was. And I love seeing her in later years as well. She even appeared in one of the Hammer, the second sort of series of Hammer. She appears in that. There's the 13 episodes of the Hammer series, And then they did another one, and she appeared in that second one. And as I remember, it's quite a clever story as well. Um, so we've got that. Then next cast member, Honor Blackman. Yes, Honor Blackman is in here. She plays Helen Lloyd. Um, she, of course, the original Avengers between 1962 and 64, and of course Goldfinger. Yes, Pussy Galore and Goldfinger. She's a fantastic actress, and she carried on way into a later part of her career, doing a lot of things, particularly on TV. Um, and she was in To the Devil a Daughter, the very last Hammer film, 1976. So we always like our Hammer connections as well, which there is often, very much so. So Honor Blackman was in that as well, that very last Hammer film. Then we've got Ian Bannon playing Brian Lloyd. And he plays this really well. The villain of the piece, the deranged, psychotic man who is really, it's wonderful. The role he plays on this. He's got a quite a big history as well of films and TV. Films, I noticed The Flight of the Phoenix, 1965, which is considered a really good classic film. It was in Doomwatch. Doomwatch was a film that came from the TV series. That's from 1972. He was in a supernatural horror film called The Watcher in the Woods from 1980. Some great stuff there. But I think his performance, wow, it's outstanding in this film. Then we have another sort of iconic, almost British actor who perhaps didn't have massive worldwide recognition like in Hollywood and things like that. But John Gregson, he plays Dr. Cordell. He was famous for Guinevere, 1953 comedy. I think he's in a very good film, The Night of the Generals, 1967. It's about the Hitler assassination. Fantastic film, that. But he just appeared in so many things. He was well known, a great actor. Then we've got George Cole. George Cole plays Jim. And he was in The Vampire Lovers, 1970, another Hammer film, remember that? And then we've got the link with Peter Collinson again. But of course, he's most famous for Minder, the TV series which ran as long from 1979 to 1994. What a series. He's in that. And of course, in the cast, incidentally, is also Dennis Waterman, who plays Chris. And I love all these connections. He was in Up the Junction as well. So he'd worked with Susan George before. And of course, under the direction of Peter Collinson. Hammer connection, of course. We've got Scars of Dracula, 1970. He's in that, is Dennis Waterman. And then, of course, he became famous with his TV career, particularly with The Sweeney, which was quite a groundbreaking TV series. And also, he joined George Cole in the Minder series. So, wow, I love all these connections, and that's very much so. Now, the little boy, Tara, is actually the son of the director, Peter Collinson. And um, I think that's the part is so well done. I mean, his dad involved in that must have helped reassure him, and particularly some of the scenes involved. And he's brilliant at it. He's really good. Um, then I think as another, yeah, I love all the interesting connections. It's only a very, very brief appearance, but I noticed that Roger Lloyd Pack is in this. This must have been one of the very early roles for him. And of course, he went on to become really famous in many things, but it really is Trigger in the 80s classic Only Fools and Horses. But also, I've seen him, of course, in Doctor Who, yes, the second series with the 10th Doctor, in the Cybermen story, Rise of the Cybermen and the Age of Steel. He's in that. So I just thought I'd put that in. Like you do. But yeah, I say, this is just such a wonderful cast. So what is the premise of this story? You could sum it up. It's basically a babysitter being terrorized by this psychotic father husband who tried to strangle and kill his wife, who is played by Honor Blackman, the Helen, and she's obviously always feared this, that he's been put into an asylum, but he's escaped, and this is where he's headed for. And there's that fear factor she had. We get that impression right from the beginning. And then here he is, the worst nightmare has happened. And this is what the story develops. And it's so tightly put together, I think. I think some people may have even criticized some aspects of this, but I don't think so. I like kind of the mixing with when she's out with her husband, and it's still hanging over her, that fear that something is going to happen. And of course, it does happen, and I think it's done really well. And of course, Susan George just playing Amanda is fantastic. You really get behind her watching it, and performance. I'm no wonder Peckinpah chose her for Straw Dogs on this. You just look at it, and wow. Now, in the context of looking at this, it's down. I suppose at the time they called it a thriller, but it's like all these thrillers at the time. And looking right back, if we go back to Psycho, you've got elements of the slasher film even here. Some have even argued it's the prototype of a slasher. And what does Halloween have in 1978? That's The Babysitter. You can get all sorts of connections. So I do think we now see this very much in the horror genre, definitely. And it's an important film. Again, like the others that I've mentioned, they all have this, they kind of fit together in this period in British films. Revenge, Assault, and this, Fright, there's a certain connection between them. And it's really good to look at them now, and I'm really pleased to have this in my collection. Absolutely fantastic release. This is Studio Canal release of 2019. It's quite a more recent release. Oh yeah, sorry. There's something I just wanted to put as a trivia. When she switches on the TV, guess what they're showing? They're showing Plague of the Zombies, the Hammer film, which is absolutely fantastic. Just adds a little bit of tension to it. But seeing that clip is wonderful when you see it. I think, oh, there it is, Plague of the Zombies. Yeah, that's fine. Anyway, I was going back to this. This originally was released on Anchor Bay in 2002. 2002 is originally on DVD, and then, of course, we've got later releases, and this one is just fantastic, restoring all the film, putting it all together. It displays that X certificate, and again, there were censorship things you've always got to look out. If you look at it, a lot of the sort of fear element is there, and you see it definitely. And you can imagine that certain censorship concerns taking place, British Film Board, the censors, how far would they go, and all that. That was very much an issue at the time. Anyway, I'm going on a bit. Anyway, this as I showed, I think on the unboxing, it's got slipcover, and it's got these wonderful interviews. It's got 2 interviews. There's the Susan George interview, which I really love this interview. And then we've got Kim Newman. He pops up on all these sort of releases, and his insight is always spot on. What I like about Kim Newman, he's like me. He kind of, he's a lot better at it than me, but he always looks at the history and points things out, and I love that when I hear him, and he makes me think, oh yeah, that's right. We get the whole history, and I love it. He's a great critic. Well, really fantastic. And he's on here, and that's well worth watching. So there we are. Highly recommended this, and say thanks again, Tony, for sending it to me. So if you've enjoyed this video and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, because then I'll let you know when we produce these videos. Also, if you like it, please give it a like. It helps with algorithms, and it all costs note. And if you got any comments, please comment. I love to hear your comments. It's fantastic. So that's it. All I've got to say is, I'll see thee again.